In the heart of West Africa lies Burkina Faso, a small, landlocked country often overlooked by the world. For years, poverty, instability, and neglect had left entire communities without hope. Yet, in the silence of forgotten lands near Ouagadougou, something extraordinary began to take shape. There were no advertisements, no grand inaugurations, no international headlines. Instead, trucks quietly rolled into the barren fields. Workers began leveling the ground. Foundations were laid. Roads started to emerge. At first, people could not understand. Who is building all this? For whom is this city being made? Questions spread like fire, but answers were nowhere to be found. Then, one day, drone footage aired on local television. The truth stunned not only the citizens of Burkina Faso but also the world. It was not a private developer. It was not a foreign investor. It was not a corporation chasing profit. The initiative came from the country's own young leader, President Ibrahim Traoré. And his vision was bold. He was not building luxury apartments or commercial towers. Instead, he announced a project of 5,000 free homes for the most vulnerable citizens, the homeless, widows, orphans, war victims, and those abandoned by society. No rent. No installments. No loans. No hidden conditions. These homes were not just about shelter. They were a declaration: every citizen deserves dignity, safety, and hope. For the first time, the poorest of the poor felt like equals in their own homeland. A forgotten land was now transforming into a city of dreams, built not with money alone, but with humanity at its foundation. The announcement of the 5,000 homes project spread across Burkina Faso like a wave of hope. For years, the country's poor had accepted struggle as destiny. But suddenly, something unimaginable was happening. Their own government was standing with them, not against them. President Ibrahim Traoré was very clear from the beginning: this was not charity. He told his people, "This is your right. Every citizen deserves a roof over their head. Dignity is not for sale, it is for all." Unlike many projects in developing nations, this one did not depend on foreign loans, international agencies, or hidden conditions. The government cut unnecessary luxury spending, reduced the costs of official vehicles and irrelevant state expenses, and redirected the savings toward its people. At the construction sites, the silence of the past was replaced with the sound of hammers, drills, and workers' voices. Thousands of laborers, engineers, masons, plumbers, carpenters, and electricians found jobs. For the first time in years, unemployment dropped, not because of foreign aid, but because of a national vision. What made this project even more unique was the use of local resources. Cement, bricks, wood, paint, and all construction materials were purchased from local factories. This boosted the national economy, and small businesses suddenly found themselves thriving. Young people, too, were given training programs in construction and technical skills. They weren't just building homes for others, they were building futures for themselves. Many realized that these new skills could give them employment opportunities far beyond this project. But beyond the economic impact, the emotional transformation was even greater. Families who had spent years sleeping on pavements or under broken shelters now watched their dreams take shape in concrete and steel. Mothers whispered prayers of gratitude as they imagined their children finally having a safe place to study, eat, and sleep. Orphans who once lived without protection now saw the walls rising around them, promising safety and belonging. This was not just about houses. It was about identity and pride. The poorest citizens were no longer outcasts or burdens, they were becoming homeowners, respected members of society. And all of it was happening without fanfare. No billboards, no global conferences, no flashy speeches. Just quiet, determined work, day and night. By the end of the first phase, people understood that this was not simply construction. This was a revolution of hope. And it was only the beginning. As the foundations of the new houses began to rise, a sense of transformation spread through the air of Burkina Faso. What was once seen as an impossible dream was now turning into a living reality. For many, this was not just construction, it was the rebirth of dignity. Every brick carried with it the story of someone who had been forgotten by society. A widow who had been struggling for years now watched as walls rose around her, finally giving her and her children a safe space. An old man who had lived under a plastic sheet for decades now smiled, knowing he would no longer be at the mercy of rain and storms. Orphans who once had no place to call home now saw a door, a window, and a future. President Ibrahim Traoré continued to remind his people, "These homes are not charity. They are your right. This city is built for you, by you, and with you." And indeed, the project became a symbol of collective strength. The workers on the site were not outsiders. They were locals, youth who had been unemployed, families who once struggled to eat, men and women who now carried tools with pride. They were building not just houses but also their own confidence. The design of the new community was simple yet powerful. Streets were wide, drainage systems were planned to prevent flooding, and community spaces were included so people could gather, celebrate, and support each other. This was not just housing, it was the creation of a real society. The impact reached beyond construction. Local businesses flourished. Cement factories, carpentry workshops, and paint suppliers all gained from the demand. The money stayed within Burkina Faso, circulating among its people, rather than flowing out to foreign corporations. Perhaps the most beautiful part of this transformation was the atmosphere of hope. For the first time in decades, people looked to the future with confidence. Children ran around construction sites, imagining which house would be theirs. Mothers dreamed of kitchens where they could cook in peace. Fathers spoke of planting gardens and building a life without fear. The project had become a mirror of what leadership truly means, not speeches, not promises, but action. And Ibrahim Traoré showed the world that when a nation invests in its weakest, it becomes its strongest. This was not just the rise of a city. It was the rise of an entire people. As the final houses neared completion, the project of 500 homes in Burkina Faso began to shine as more than just construction. It was no longer a collection of bricks, walls, and roofs. It was a legacy, a message to the world. The international community watched in surprise. How could one of the poorest nations, with limited resources, do what many wealthy countries had failed to achieve? The answer was simple: leadership with honesty, vision, and love for the people. Ibrahim Traoré had proven that development does not require endless foreign aid or crippling loans. Instead, it requires courage to prioritize the needs of the people over luxury, and determination to stand firm against corruption. This city became a living classroom for the world. It taught that true progress is not in skyscrapers built for the rich, but in homes that shelter the poor. It showed that dignity is as important as food, that security is as vital as medicine, and that hope can transform entire societies. Families who once wandered without shelter now had a permanent address. Children who once studied under trees now dreamed of becoming doctors, engineers, and teachers inside their safe homes. The elderly who had been forgotten found peace in their final years. Widows found security. Orphans found belonging. And most importantly, the people of Burkina Faso realized their own strength. They saw that they did not need to beg from the world. They had the power to stand together and build. This project sparked a new spirit across Africa, where leaders and citizens began asking, if Burkina Faso can do this, why can't we? In his final speech about the project, President Ibrahim Traoré declared, "This city is not a gift. It is justice. Every human being deserves dignity, shelter, and peace. Let this be the beginning of a new Burkina Faso, and may the world learn that true wealth lies not in money, but in people." The city stood not only as a collection of houses but as a monument of human values, compassion, justice, and unity. It would be remembered as the moment when a nation, small in size but great in spirit, rose to show the world the meaning of real progress. Burkina Faso had built not only homes. They had built hope.